Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm the Serious Strategy Gamer, and I'm very excited because we are going to start a new series today. We are going to play Rogue State Revolution. This is kind of a funny crossover between political simulator and strategy game, so I'm very excited about that. So a little bit similar-ish, I think, to Suzerain in the setting, but quite differently told and quite different in terms of gameplay. So I think this will make an excellent addition here. So without further ado, let's start a new game here in the Republic of Benji, which is, I would guess, sort of loosely linked to, let's say, a Central Asian Turkmenistan kind of republic. I don't know, maybe Azerbaijan or something. I don't know. It's obviously fictional, so let's see about over here. I guess we are going to go with advisor help because I really don't know what is happening here. And I guess we can go with a slightly gentle start. I think overall difficulty settings here, slightly above 130% is always gonna be okay-ish. Let's go with reasonable economics here. I think that's fine. I also want to go for reasonable minister expectations here, and that should be okay. So let's call ourselves SSG. There is quite a bit of history around here, but I don't think it's quite as relevant as it's in Suzerain, so I'm not going to read all of that, but it is kind of interesting how the game does come together. One of the things it does use is, it seems to be that the protagonist of this is stuck in a time loop, so things are ending badly for him, and he's always trying to make the Republic of Benji into a better place. That's the one thing. The other thing is this is being told into a heavy degree in videos. So before I click that, that is going to introduce us to the setting of this republic here. Again, somewhat close-ish to Azerbaijan or something like that, and you'll see for yourself.
In Basenji today, there is a mood of jubilation as thousands crowd the streets in celebration. The first ever democratic election in the People's Republic of Basenji is a success. 5 years ago, the monarchy was replaced by a transitional government. And now, finally, after great struggle, democracy has come to Basenji. For the first time in their turbulent history, both Basenji and ethnic Karifi are voting for a government of their choice. 12 political parties campaigned, representing a wide political spectrum, with the largest, the Basenji Nationalist Party, sweeping the election with 72% of the vote.
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Sabriya. I have been assigned as your political strategist.
And I am Yusuf. I will be serving as your military attaché.
The first task before you is to appoint cabinet roles for representatives from across our great nation.
These are critical positions. Once appointed, cabinet members are constitutionally protected. They cannot be removed from office.
Indeed. You will be stuck with these ministers, for better or worse. I would advise you listen to their needs.
And I say look for loyalty. There will be hard days ahead. We will need a cabinet that is on our side, no matter what.
Excellency, it's time for us to form the government responsible for building Basenji's glorious future.
So, as you can see, kind of a different way of storytelling, really, and one that I so far enjoy very much. Again, the game doesn't seem to take itself too serious, but yeah, there we go. So, our first task here is to appoint a couple of ministers, and this is interesting because it will set out the game. Not everyone does like every job, a little bit like maybe Democracy 4, but we have basically 4 things to cover here. Minister of Development, Defense, Finance, and Natural Resources. We do have different people here. They all have different allegiances, as you can see over here. Conservative religious, conservative secular, liberal, and so on. Now, I think I would tend to go for liberal secular, if at all possible, but you can also see that these guys all have kind of, well, some up and down sides, really. So, for example, here, her ministry would be operating with 0 cost, that's nice, but the minister will vanish for a few turns occasionally. No request can be fulfilled for that minister while absent, and approval in the minister's home province will steadily drop while she's absent. That's obviously not so great, so I wouldn't like to take her on board really. This gentleman here does cost us a little bit of money, but at least we would make the ethnic minority here a little bit happier, and I think that might actually be a good choice. We've also got a conservative secular person here, but she's tactless, so I would rather not take her. Liberal secular, you could die at any time, but civilian units assigned to you would get a free upgrade. Okay, let's actually do that. I think that's going to be alright. You unfortunately are maroon, but you are resourceful, so extra event options, yeah, let's go for defense there. You can't be appointed there. You could be, you know what, let's get you into finance. I think that's a good idea. You can't be appointed, so basically for development we do have to pick a conservative. I really would dislike to choose her, so I don't think that is going to be the case. Popular and selfish. You know what, let's go with that. Popular and selfish it is, so we do have a mix of
Very
people
good.
here.
No,
Let's see
every
what
12
we are going to
months.
make out of that.
Excellency, while you get settled in your new office, I have scheduled your agenda for the next few weeks. Are you interested in hearing it? Most actions, aside from giving orders to units, cost a single action point. The number of action points available is equal to the number of ministers in our cabinet. Think of this as political capital to get things done. I've learned that our national power plant has not received a fuel shipment in weeks.
The connecting roads were made unusable during the Civil War.
By constructing a new road, oil will automatically be transported from the refinery to the power plant, and electricity can be restored to Basenji. Build roads by click-dragging a line between two buildings. Ensure both the power plant and the oil refinery. Building roads costs 1 action point per month and treasury funds. Note that it is possible to both upgrade and bulldoze roads. Click on any road segment, including the one you just built, and select Upgrade in the road menu.
Manipulating the camera should be straightforward. In addition to moving the cursor, you can use the WASD keys to pan the map or click and hold the middle. You can also rotate the map by clicking the rotation buttons or by pressing Finally, these buttons will immediately pan the camera to buildings of specific importance. Resource producers, power plants, and buildings. After the Civil War, the United Nations established aid camps to distribute food rations to our people. We must start to produce our own food and not rely on the UN. Constructing agricultural fields allows us to produce our own food for our people and have a new source of revenue to grow our treasury.
Right, so I'm going to try not to talk too much over her introduction here. But yeah, basically we do want to jumpstart our economy here. And
Agricultural fields can only be placed on green terrain. From the right sidebar, click Construction. From there, choose the agricultural field. We will need to ensure that there is a working population available wherever we place them.
so this is going to cost us some money and things like that, but I think all in all we're going to be alright. So let's try to place that here along the river. I think that's going to be alright. We're going to build that. It is going to bring down
I should remind you, Excellency, that we'll need a road connection between these fields and our cities. We can build a dirt road connecting them to our traffic network for now.
Right, let's do that.
Over
There we
time,
go.
the Senji cities will demand more than just food to stay content. Urban citizens who purchase these goods from our state-run producers put money back into our treasury. As food supply increases, you can dismantle a UN camp. I would suggest doing this only once every few months, because removing UN aid workers will come with a severe penalty to our diplomatic influence. For now, though, I think we could spend funds and an action point to build a second agricultural field to support the anticipated growth in our city's demands next month. Alternatively, we could address the health crisis currently facing the province of Sabah. Constructing a regional hospital adjacent to a city somewhere in this province would provide immediate care for those wounded during the Basenji Civil War. The choice is yours. Future-proof your economy and construct another agricultural field, or build a regional hospital adjacent to a city somewhere in the province of Sabah to care for our wounded.
So this is the first decision that we really have here, and I think I'm going to go and build another agricultural field, because I do think that over time it will pay us a little bit better if we are fulfilling
Thank you
our
for
monetary
putting your faith in
objective
me.
here too.
You may have noticed that buildings consume both workers and power. Getting more power is a question of building more power plants. Getting more workers, however, is a much bigger problem. For now, it is prudent to spread your buildings out between your provinces, so you don't end up with a worker shortage.
Excellency, Sabria, apologies for the interruption. Our military is in a state of disrepair, and I must insist we address that sooner rather than later. Construct a military base, Excellency. This will be where all our military units are produced.
It's better right here in the middle, I think. So we do have access to pretty much anywhere where we need to be, so I think that should be okay. Right, and that did use all of our actions, so we do need to advance it to the next month. We have built that, of course, so that should be okay.
Yusef, the local news is reporting something difficult to believe. An industrious shepherd appears to have hybridized a bunch of old cars to produce an armored bipedal tank.
So yeah, as you can see, as I was saying, the game sometimes doesn't take itself too serious. So we have got sort of this mech over here that we do now need to win against.
I made a big mistake.
Why would anyone do that?
Because it's awesome?
Hello? Can anyone hear me? I am stuck inside this armored bipedal tank and have lost systems control.
Although this is probably also a threat to our national security. Thankfully, we can use that military base to recruit some new troops and send them to disable it.
They're trying a tank over here, and we are going to use that tank basically to win against this guy, simply by dragging over it.
Clicking on the unit,
so these guys should come over here, shoot him. This guy's going to go down, and that should do that. Yes, we know, we've in fact done that already.
We have pulled the very frightened shepherd from the wreckage. Hopefully his insurance covers all the damage he caused.
Thank you. I spent so much of my time thinking about how to create a giant homemade walking tank out of old cars and recovered munitions. I never stopped to think if I should.
Excellency.
Right. Well, Excellency, this seems as good a time as any to introduce your ministries. This is where you said setting our tax policy to regressive will increase our tax base if our people's prosperity is low. Our nation's liberals will absolutely hate this move, but maybe we can win back their trust in other ways. Set our tax policy to regressive now. Good. Let's check in now with the Ministry of Defense. Over time, a minister will research new policies for our nation. If you keep them happy by fulfilling the requests they routinely bring to us, that research gets completed faster.
The minister is of the view that we might be able to learn something from this bizarre incident with the armored walking vehicle.
You can choose which policy opportunities a minister is going to research by clicking on it. Choose a policy opportunity for the Minister of Defense to research now. You can even choose that silly bipedal walking tank if it means that much to you, but we'll probably need a lot of cash and a secret facility if you plan on going down that road.
So we do have a choice here what we want to research next. I'm not entirely sure what we're going to get, but I think recon training might be a useful one. It doesn't cost us any money as these guys do. And I'm a little bit hesitant to basically, well, drain our cash for the moment, so I think this should be fine.
Ministers
Let's
who are not given
use
research
that.
priorities will create their own based on their personal interests. In fact, particularly belligerent ministers may do their own thing, regardless of what you say. We should suggest policy opportunities for the remaining 3 ministers to research now.
Let's see over here. I do think we want some money, and I'm somewhat tempted here by the super nodes. This would need to be researched, but at that point we would get quite a bit of money here. We could get into big trouble, but I think we're going to risk it and try to get a little bit more of a jump start to our economy. In terms of development, what could we do? We could do toll roads, rural approval, and entertainment would go down. I don't think I like that idea. Spectrum auction, conservative approval, where we do need to be a little bit mindful. This cannot possibly fail. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Tunnels might be useful, but I don't think so. I think prosperity. Let's go with the spectrum auction. I do think I like the idea of more money. You are researching something already. And then we've got the natural resources one. And I think bauxite and uranium mines. Now we don't know whether we have these, so not entirely sure whether they're going to be that useful. Environment would be helpful to increase that a little bit. Some of our environment really is kind of looking not that great. Relations with China is, I guess, a good thing, but I don't know. Operating costs would go up quite a bit. I don't think that is something that we want. Impact surveys. You know what, let's go for that. I think that's going to be alright.
Research will be conducted faster when the minister has a great deal of respect for you. Unhappy ministers may not do any research at all. Excellency, our economy is pretty stagnant right now, which will limit our opportunities to better this great nation. I have a plan. Very good. I've got some more ideas on how we can increase our national treasury. A lot of things outside of our control can affect Basenji's monthly revenue. City growth, immigration, the price of commodities, our transportation infrastructure. So what you're looking at is our minister's best estimates based on a snapshot of the country as it stands today.
Lowering provincial expenses helps a little, but it will also take its toll on the general well-being of those provinces. But look at these ministry expenses. You may want to change some policies in the Ministry of Development later on. Ongoing unit maintenance costs are something to keep a close eye on as well. It's better to use a few units well than grow a bloated military.
Because we have a Minister of Finance, we also have the option of taking out loans in the forms of bonds or an IBRD loan. The interest repayment terms for these are not kind, so I wouldn't suggest doing this unless we were in a real emergency.
Inevitably, the best way for us to have nice things is to find resources and sell them. Later, we can use those resources to craft more valuable goods and sell them instead.
We may need to consider a few temporary provincial funding cuts until we get our economy jump-started. I'll leave it to you to decide where, but ultimately, I propose you cut just enough to establish a positive cash flow.
So she does ask us to cut down on the funding of some of these things, and I think we should only do that for sort of the provinces where we do think things are looking kind of okay. So for example in Karif over here, that we seem to have a relatively good environmental standing, so I'm guessing we can drop that down a little bit. That is going to save us 1 bug, and that is going to reduce our budget deficit at least a little bit, so I think that is going to be alright. Do we think that anything else is comparatively high over here? So I'm looking at sort of 6 or so. That would be entertainment. Yeah, let's drop down that a little bit. That does give us some money, and you're doing relatively well here, I think, in terms of entertainment, so that should be okay. In terms of health, I don't think I want to reduce anything. Maybe reduce public safety in Banifta as well, a little bit, because we do have a 6 here. And I think that is fine. Well, do we want to drop anything else? Maybe education in some place. I would rather not do that, honestly. Saba, how are you looking in terms of environment? Not really that great, so I'm guessing this is fine. You know what? Let's do a little bit here, less in tourist sort of things, and that is going to be okay.
We should create a surveyor unit to scout for new resources. Resources will eventually make it possible for us to sell more complex products for our cities, but for now, we can export these raw materials to a neighbor if the demand exists. Click on the palace at Mijimura by either finding it on the map, or click Excellency. We have used up all our actions for this month. Let us...
Right, so just going to the next turn over here.
Excellency.
And
Click
I
on
think
the
this is
survey,
really where this
just
starts
so
to
you
get
reveal all
interesting.
the potential resources.
Excellency.
By exploring these sites,
So
we
we're
can
gonna.
potentially uncover new
I'm
resources.
basically gonna shut her up for a second here. So I'm gonna take this surveyor here. We are gonna explore what's gonna go around over here, and we do find a little bit more oil, which
Another
certainly
oil
should be
deposit.
useful.
Well, this is helpful. Not all resources.
Let's build a new refinery on that oil deposit.
Got it.
Select one from the
Build it.
construction menu.
It is gonna cost us some power generation too, but
Now our
it
nation
should
has
basically
2
be fine.
refineries.
And we do of course
One
need
from
to
the oil
connect that to our street
So the oil
network.
from this one
But
to
before
one
we
of
do
our
that,
neighbors.
let's go
At
to
least
the
relations
diplomacy
with those other
thing
nations
here.
we share a border with can be, our relationship will depend
Yes,
in
yes,
addition
yes,
to
go
that.
on.
Take
No,
notice
no,
if
go
anyone.
away.
Let's see if
Go away. I understand. Right, so we've got 3 nations here. We've got Tajikistan, Sabil, and Babilistan. So let's see who of these guys is gonna require some oil. These guys here, for example, do need oil, so that's great. They are also a stable nation. We do have relatively good relationships, so yeah, let's go ahead, let's give them a call and let's offer them some of our oil. That's lovely. She is Prime Minister Qasima Farah of Babilistan. Congratulations to our elections and so on and so forth. We're gonna go negotiate an export here of oil. We're gonna export as much to them as possible, but we do need a road connection to them, so let's propose that.
Not bad at all. We'll need to make sure.
And indeed, they are accepting of that. But we do need to build some roads over here, and the first one that we do want to build is just directly to their thing over there. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to build a road here.
Excellency, we have used up all our actions.
From the refinery itself, and that should basically now allow our exports to flow, and that is going to be very, very important here for our budget, because that does mean that for the first time here we are turning a positive budget, which I think is fantastic. And this is going to be what this game is about to a very large extent. So yeah, I think we're going to go making good headway over here.
Good morning, Excellency. Very good. Make sure your surveyor is on his way to find new resources for us. Over time, resource-producing buildings will experience corruption. Greasy hands will start cutting into our national bottom line. You should hire a facilities inspector from the palace at Majimra to travel between your resource producers and address this.
Right, let's start by sending our surveyor up to this potential location up here. Let's see whether we are finding anything over there. Would be useful, of course. And we're also going to train a facilities inspector.
The facilities inspector has an action that allows you to eliminate corruption that accrues in the resource-producing buildings.
Question is, are we actually seeing some corruption right now? So we are seeing zero corruption here. We are seeing zero corruption there because these are things that we've just built. But I'm guessing that up over here, yeah, you can see there's a little bit of corruption in the oil plant there. So I'm guessing that's where we're going to send her. So let's simply drag her over into this general direction here. It's going to take her a couple of turns to actually get there, but I guess that is fine.
Surveyors, facilities inspectors, and clerics can consume an action point to double their movement distance. Keep this in mind if you find yourself with extra action points.
Right, so let's have a go a little bit faster because I think we would benefit from reducing that corruption there. That should be fine. We do have a lot of money sitting around, so maybe what we could do... No, this road network here seems to be fine, so I don't think we need to upgrade that, even though this is only a dirt road. But this still does seem to take all of our input materials there. So that's fine. I'm guessing what we can then do is build a little bit more in terms of food stuffs over here. Let's check this out. So currently our agricultural fields are producing 110 food, of which 19 are going to the cities. The other 72 are being provided by UN camps. So we would have an interest here in reducing some more of these UN camps and basically getting rid of them so that we can sell our own home produced food, which I think would generally be a good idea. We shouldn't do that too fast because there seems to be some diplomatic repercussion to that, but I do think we can build up a little bit more in terms of our agricultural fields. Now let's check this out. Let's use somewhere where we do have decent amount of workers. And I'm guessing that would be up over here. You know what? Let's build something like here. In this province here, that should use some of these workers. Be immediately connected to the street there. That's fine too. We are using more of our power here, but I'm guessing that is going to be alright. We can also think about diplomacy and thinking whether anyone does need some food, some raw food here. For example, you would. We don't have the best relationship, but that might change through this a little bit, right? If we're going to export some food to you, let's call you up and see whether that is going to work. So we're going to try to export food. We're not going to earn that much, but we're going to propose that anyway, because I think that might be very useful in the long term. Question is, where were you actually based? So, sorry, you were Sabil. That is up over here, I'm guessing? Yeah, that is up over there. So we do need to connect that road, and we don't currently have an action point, so that is something that we need to do next
Good morning,
turn.
Excellency.
Surveyors, facilities inspectors, and clerics can consume.
Excellency,
Yes, we know.
Sabria.
Ooh.
Apologies for the interruption. Again. Intelligence reports that a small contingent of rebels and dissidents calling themselves the Basenji Liberation Front are on the move toward what's left of that.
The Basenji Liberation Front? They're a small union of various interest groups with the united goal of destabilizing our democracy and removing you from power. What could they want with a pile of metal junk in the deep desert?
Regardless, reports indicate they are armed and we must respond with force, Excellency. If the public feels we can't keep them safe, our units start fiercely loyal to our regime, Excellency. Just be aware that the sending units on suicide missions, making poor... Every unit can only...
Right, so basically they want us to start engaging these guys. I guess we're going to do that. So we're going to get over here and immediately start engaging you. Can I do that? Yeah. We're going to be fought upon in return, but I do think we're going to do better than they are. Yeah, so they lost someone over there. Not too much, though. So let's actually train up some infantry here, too. And we're going to engage these guys again with this infantry. Going to move you up like that. Fine. Can I move you up further? Yes, I can. That's useful because I think I would like to get you in between these guys here. And you... Let's actually spend an action point because you guys are somewhat wounded already. So I would like to withdraw you a little bit and keep the infantry here in the front because these guys are going to be a little bit more, well, better suited to basically take the brunt of the attack here. Okay, that's good. How's our food situation looking? Yeah, so we are starting to produce more food here. We do need to link up to that border over here so that we can actually sell some of the food abroad, which I'm guessing is going to be useful. So let's try to do it like that. There we go. Built the road. They're going to take some traffic now, and I'm guessing we can get rid of the UN camp here and to sell some of the food here internally as well. Which hopefully should also be useful. Oh, I do see that that also got rid of the road, which of course is unfortunate. Let's do build one over here. That should be okay, good. Traffic still seems to be fine, so I don't think we need to upgrade anything. We do still have one movement point here. So what I'm guessing is I want to expedite you a little bit. That should get everyone up a little bit faster. Also, I don't know whether you can be attacked by these units there, so that should be okay like that.
Excellency,
and that's fine.
On our way.
Right, let's see what's going to happen. Okay, they are passing by us here.
Excellency, every unit can only attack once.
This is if we do want to attack them. I'm guessing that we should be able to take you out this way, or at least weaken you with the tanks here. Okay, we're going to fire them point blank. They're going to lose 2 points, we're going to lose 1. But that's going to be fine because the infantry here should be able to finish them off. And that is a job well done over here. Good.
Spread throughout the nation to address one.
Excellency, as important as our national defense is, I will show you how to stay in power. Let's start by examining how we are doing, province by province. The upper graph shows your current approval levels in Benefa by demographic over the past 10 months. If they get too displeased with you, the rebels will be emboldened. The lower graph shows that province's ratings for prosperity, education, health, safety, the environment, and entertainment. Keeping these from getting too low in all 5 provinces is going to be crucial if you want the people to stay content. In many provinces, our environmental ratings are falling. A few are getting particularly low. Let's talk about what we can do about that. Go ahead and click anywhere to close the provincial detail panel. Traffic congestion can restrict the flow of goods, and more importantly, most of the roads are tinted green. It appears that traffic is not currently a bottleneck for us. If too many industries export goods on the same roads, you will eventually want to upgrade those roads. At the provincial level, you can increase funding to conservation, but this will increase your treasury expenses every term. We could also construct a nature preserve or public gardens to improve your environmental rating, which have a larger one-time cost. At the nationwide level, we can make some policy changes. They might not cost us any money, but they will likely result in other trade-offs. There is no one...
Okay, so we are being told that basically, for example, the environmental rating over here in this province, I think in particular, is very low. That's just a 2. So we're going to do a couple of things here. I am going to address that by raising the conservation here in Kakuri at least 1 point. That is not going to be that expensive. In fact, it's very inexpensive, so we might actually increase that by 2 points, which should
Good.
hopefully
It will
help
take
us out
time
a
to see the
little
results of these
bit.
improvements. So, notice the resort. This is how
Let's skip
processed
ahead a
food
little
should come
bit here.
first. Hold the mouse over the processed food icon. Processed food is going to require more farms, more oil refineries, a plastics factory, and a manufacturing plant. We will also need them all connected by roads. Thankfully, we already have extra oil that we're exporting. If you construct a plastics factory and...
So, over time, we will be able to add more complex supply chains. And that is, I think, one of the next things that we're going to do. And that being said, I think I would rather actually go ahead for construction here and still address the environmental issue in Kharkiv province here a little bit. So, let's actually get over here and try to construct some things that would help. And I think that's the nature preserve, which might be very helpful down here. It can be constructed anywhere, so I don't think there's any particular point in constructing it in one specific space. Let's go over here. Let's just build it over there. It's going to cost us quite a bit of money, but I do think it is going to improve these ratings here significantly. So yeah, happy about that. That does do a lot of good things for us. And you know what? I think it's a lovely thing to do. It also increases entertainment a little bit. So this province now is starting to look a little bit better. But you know what? That, guys, I think is a very good place to put in a cut. So a little bit of a slow start over here because we have the tutorial running. But you can already sort of see where this game is going. Where we need to carefully balance the approval ratings of everyone. Making sure that we're not going to be ousted from that we're not going to start another civil war. While also trying to think a little bit about our economy and trying to jumpstart that. So that being said, I do hope you enjoyed, and this is the first series of, or the first episode of the series. So I do ask you to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and then I'm hoping to see you guys again in the next episode. Bye bye, guys.